Hi, it's Sean. This video is about playing guitar melodies that are in the bass. The case study for today is exercise number 10 by Dionisio Aguado. It's a beginner or early intermediate level piece for classical guitar. This video is also about how you can interpret a piece of music through analysis. In this case, I used a melodic reduction to help me interpret. If you don't know what a melodic reduction is, don't worry, I'll address it later in the video. It's simpler than it seems. Exercise number 10 by Aguado is a good example of a typical 19th century guitar etude. The melody is plucked by the thumb and written out in quarter notes with the stems down. All the 16th notes are played by the fingers, filling out the rhythm and the harmony. Because the melody is in the bass, my overall advice with this piece is to play the bass notes a little louder than the 16th notes. However, once I dove deeper into the analysis, I decided to reduce the melody even more. You'll know what I mean by this when you see my melodic reduction. So have a listen to my performance first. For brevity, I'm not playing the repeats. Okay, so here's the sheet music that I was reading during my performance. You can see there is a lot of information on the page, a lot of black ink in 16th notes. These chord symbols in red were not in my music, just ignore them for now. I am using them to discuss a compositional technique a little later in the video. To start, I'll explain the engraving style of the sheet music and how to interpret it. Notice that the first note in each beamed group of 16th notes has both a stem that goes down and a stem that goes up. This means that there are actually two parts, a series of quarter notes played by the thumb and a series of 16th notes played by the fingers, notably I and M. The first note of each grouping is shared between the two parts. It's written this way to help highlight the melody for you. The quarter notes outline the melody, and because it is the melody, the quarter notes should be played a little bit louder than the 16th notes in the fingers. In summary, the quarter notes are the melody, and the 16th notes decorate that melody. I'm now going to play a short example from the beginning to bar 5. I want the quarter notes to be louder than the 16th notes. As I mentioned earlier, I made some artistic choices in my interpretation. I reduced the melody somewhat by giving less weight to certain notes. I'll play that passage again with my interpretation. I wrote this melodic reduction to show my interpretation of the piece. I removed all of the 16th notes to reduce clutter. Only the notes with the thumb remain. Then I reduced the melody even further. I decided to treat the lowest notes, like these A's and these E's, as harmony, and these low notes in bar 4 and going into 5 as melodic filler. So the primary melody is written with the stems going up, and the harmonic or filler material is written with the stems going down. The notes with the stems up in this reduction are what I consider to be the main melody. I'll play this reduced melody for you now so you can hear it in isolation. So again, these are the notes with the upward stems. When I actually play the piece, I want that melody to be prominent. I try to play the harmony or filler notes softer so they don't overpower the sustained notes that I marked as half notes, whole notes, and dotted half notes. So half notes here, whole note here, dotted half note here. The second half is interesting to me. In bars 9 and 10, I decided that the melody was really a dotted half note followed by a quarter note. I treated the quarter notes on beats 2 and 3 of each bar as a harmony or even drone notes on the E. These extra notes I play softer so as not to overpower the melody. It's a delicate balancing act. In fact, during my performance, I felt my thumb was a bit too heavy on these low E's and A's for my liking. So now it's time to tell you about these accents, slurs, and red letters that I added in here. I did this to highlight a common compositional technique called a suspension. I'm not going to go into this very deeply because it's a little outside of the scope of this video, but I thought I would include it because it's almost a textbook example of a harmonic suspension. What is a suspension? A suspension is comprised of 3 things. The first thing is a preparation note that I've marked in red with a P. The preparation leads into a tension note or suspension marked with an S. The suspension is a dissonant pitch that isn't part of the harmony, so it's nice to push it just a little to bring out that little bit of crunchy dissonance. Finally, the B pitch is the resolution of the tension marked with an R. The resolution is always a tone that is consonant with the underlying harmony. So what's going on with this /P here? Well, one suspension is organically leading into another. It turns out that the resolution note here is also the preparation note for the next suspension. This note has a double function. So not only is this B a resolution note, but is also a preparation note for this suspension S, because it is the same pitch. The rule is that the preparation note must be the same pitch as the suspended note so that it prepares our ears for the dissonance that is occurring here. The B then resolves nicely to the A, which finally cadences to the G sharp. So we have 2 suspensions in a row: preparation, suspension, resolution, preparation, suspension, resolution. We're back at the original music once again so we can look at the harmonic suspension within the context of the piece. The harmonic reference is sort of implied as these E tremolo notes here and here are shared between the A minor chord and the E7 chord. The harmony is not filled out, yet it sounds effective. These E's are implying the 5th of an A minor chord here, while here they are implying the root of E7, even if it isn't immediately apparent in the sound. So here, the preparation note C, which is a chord tone of A minor, it's the third. The C leads into another C over an implied E7 chord. I've labeled the chord E7 augmented to reflect this, with the C now being a tension note in the implied E7. Normally, the fifth of E7 is a B, but is being played as a C instead. So to recap, the C at the end of bar 10 is the preparation note marked by P. The preparation is always the same pitch as the suspension. Its function is to prepare the ear for the suspension or tension note, which is the C in bar 11. Then C resolves to B, which is simultaneously the resolution and the preparation for another suspension here. Finally, the dissonant B resolves to A. After the whole bar of tension release, we finally reach the cadence note G sharp. Here's how it sounds reduced with the guitar. I'm filling in the implied roots to help you hear what I mean. And here it is in the context of the piece again. I'm going to go from bar 10. And here's my reduction once more. So this is my own interpretation of this piece. Whether or not you agree with my interpretation, it shows you what you can do to dive deeper into the music you're playing. Your analysis can reveal subtleties that aren't immediately apparent. If you found this video insightful, please like and subscribe. It will help me out. Thanks and happy practicing.